Welcome to another episode of Sports Vibe, episode 88. A big episode because we are officially in conference final season. Really excited about all of that. Yeah, I mean, as I keep saying, it's the best time in sports, at least for a lot of people. But I mean, for fans of both the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs, or even one or the other, but particularly both. Like I've always been a huge NBA fan. Kind of also an NHL fan. Has gotten definitely stronger over the years as I follow this stuff. But I mean, this year, I mean, like as we were talking about, I would argue that the NBA playoffs have actually been the better one. Like, would you still agree with that sentiment, or going into conference finals?
Well, considering that the NHL playoffs literally seem like a repeat of last year's, yeah,
Yeah,
I would say the NBA's have a little more exciting. Plus, my Pacers are doing well, so I'll
eh,
take I'll take it either way, right?
yeah, exactly. The yes sirs, as people like call them, or the sirs, the Pacers. I don't know if anyone really uses that nickname, but they are doing pretty well. We'll talk about that. I'm a Nets fan. I know you're like also a Nets fan too, but
I am, yeah.
I'm probably in the minority where I'm like kind of sort of I'm not really, I don't know, I'm a little conflicted with the whole Knicks thing right now, but against Boston I wasn't so conflicted. I was definitely all in. But as like a New York fan, like I kind of do want to see the Knicks win, but as a Nets fan, I guess I want to see the Pacers win because I don't want the Knicks in the finals. It's gonna definitely haunt like Brooklyn fans. But the city is having quite a good time, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's probably what's gonna happen is my mind's gonna probably be rooting for the Pacers, and my heart is probably gonna be rooting for the Knicks because that's most likely what's gonna happen. But we'll see. But with the Celtics, like all parts of me were rooting for the Knicks. The Nets part of me, the New York part of me, the NBA part of me, like the mind, the heart, like everything. I could just not do that. I know like some people disagree because they probably hate Knicks fans more as a Nets fan, and I mean, I do
Yeah.
kind of agree because Knicks fans are also kind of annoying, and like because considering they haven't done a lot, but Boston fans are probably even more annoying in my opinion, and they actually have done a lot. So it's all relative, but fresh blood in the NBA. Timberwolves, Thunder, Pacers, Knicks. I'm really excited because that's something we haven't seen in a while. But let's just recap how we got to that point. So first of all, Cavs Pacers, as we talked about last time, pretty relatively easy series. Kind of a little bit of a shocking upset, especially given that it was only 5 games. I had a feeling the Pacers were gonna go out and steal the show. Win one, if not two, of the road games and really take command of the series. I did not expect them to win in 5. I will tell you that. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, he was dealing with some injuries later in the series, but overall, like he still played. And there was one off game, I guess the Pacers kind of had, which was Game 3, but which the Cavs won by 20 points. But other than that, like, I mean, Game 4 and 5, like the Pacers took control over. Game 5. Cavs actually had quite a big lead, and the Pacers came all the way back. And then I just kind of realized, I mean, like the Pacers are just that much better. I mean, just the way they were able to move the ball and their defense and get open shots, and the Cavs are just struggling like every step of the way. Like you could just feel that they just didn't have it. And the Pacers had 5 scorers in double figures. I'm Siakam, Neesmith, but 13 rebounds as well. Turner, Nemhard, and Tyrese Halliburton has become like a bona fide star. He had 31 points in the last game. So they're coming off some significant rest as well, but so are the New York Knicks. And then the other one, Wolves Warriors, another pretty easy series. Steph Curry obviously went down. I still feel like if he was healthy, this could have gone differently. I don't know if they would have won or not, but I think they definitely could have at least pushed it to 6 or 7, maybe even won the series. Who knows? But maybe it would have gone to 6 or 7. But either way, the Timberwolves do move on. Jimmy Butler didn't really do all that great. Trying to lead the team on his own, but some other players really stepped up a little bit more. I mean, Kuminga, Pajemski. I mean, but at the end of the day, the Wolves were a little too much. The Randall DiVincenzo trade looks like a genius move on both sides because both teams are now in the conference finals. Both of them are playing well. I mean, Gobert's playing well, of course, as well, and then you got Anthony Edwards, who's bona fide star. So really excited to see what they can do. But yeah, I mean, I guess that brings us now to the series that did not finish at the time of the last recording. which are the Thunder, Nuggets, and Knicks Celtics. So I guess we could start with the Knicks knocking off the Boston Celtics in 6. I think where we left off, where the Knicks were up 3-1, Jason Tatum had torn his Achilles, and it was kind of looking like it was all but over. Even with everyone healthy, the Knicks played a really good game 4. Brunson went off, Bridges, Townsend, and Nobi, kind of the 4 Ninja Turtles. If, I don't know if you want to call them that, but the 4 sidekicks in action doing a really good job. But in game 5, it was completely the opposite. Boston completely put on a Boston Tea Party at the TD Garden. I don't know, to use like a little metaphor here, but it was completely like a Boston blowout. Even though Porzingis was having a little bit of issues. I mean, Horford played well, Brown played well, Pritchard. I mean, they just had like kind of a balanced effort. Like Cornette had like 7 blocks, which of like 5 1/4, which was just unheard of for him. And the Knicks, again, they had their four their guys, Anunoby, Brunson, Bridges, and Towns, again with 20 points each, and even Miles McBride, but it just wasn't enough. But in game 6, it was completely like the exact opposite. So I mean, actually, in game 6, it was the opposite. Game 5, the Knicks didn't really all do that well, and it was or game 5 they didn't do that well, but Hart actually at 24, Towns with 19, Brunson 22, but Anunoby only had 6, Bridges had 9. But then in game 6, that's the one where the Knicks actually took off, did really well. The Celtics just didn't have it. I mean, Jaylen Brown had 20 in that game, but they just didn't have it. The Knicks actually went off. They had their guys back in double figures, 20 points each for Anunoby, Towns, Brunson, Bridges, like the 4 Ninja Turtles. I really like that analogy. And then Josh Hart had a triple-double. He's been playing good. McBride had 10. This one was over by halftime. Like, there really wasn't much to say. The Knicks kind of just cruised to victory. It was going to be hard for the Celtics to put up 3 really good performances without their big star Jason Tatum. So the Knicks put away the Celtics. Quite a shocking turn of events. I mean, this series was kind of a roller coaster because, I mean, if the Celtics were still able to win games 1 and 2, they still could have probably won the series. But the Knicks able to really turn momentum with 2 incredible comebacks. And then Boston comes and stomps them game 3. So then it's a little bit of uh-ohs. But game 4, again, the Knicks really proved that they were the better team. So now they have firm control. And then a couple blowouts, one with the Celtics winning by 25, one with the Knicks winning by 38, which is a lot. I don't know why there's so many blowouts in the playoffs, but it's weird. But it just is how it is, I guess. Probably the lack of rest is not exactly helping, as Aaron Gordon said. But that brings me to our last series. OKC taking down Denver in 7 games. This one was another competitive series. I mean, the Nuggets won game 1 on a buzzer beater and then got blown out in game 2. But then they won game 3 in overtime, then lost game 4, close one. Game 5 was a Thunder win to really give them some control of the series. But again, Denver comes back, wins game 6. Jokic, Murray, and Brown playing extremely well. But then game 7, it was just the Thunder running away with it. And I guess what I said last week on the pod was I felt a little dissatisfied because I either wanted the Thunder to completely roll over them or I wanted the Nuggets to win, and neither happened. However, the way that the Thunder are playing, like, I really was impressed by what I saw on Sunday, because like their style of basketball is just, they're so ferocious. Like, they force turnovers, they score in transition, and like I said, they also create open shots. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's a heck of a player, even though he draws a lot of fouls. Which, they also have a great supporting cast. I mean, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Hartenstein, and they play what it is. They really play good team basketball on both sides, offense and defense, and that was really the difference maker, creating all those turnovers, scoring off all those turnovers. I don't think I've seen anything like that. So, I mean, they are deserving of it, even if they underachieved a little bit for a 68-win team. It might be good in the long run that they went through a series like that, because the Wolves are not gonna mess around. But yeah, I mean, if the Thunder can play like that, I have absolutely no problems, because that's just good basketball. So that's kind of my recap of the 4 NBA games. I guess before we move on, do you have any thoughts on anything I just said, or any of the 4 series?
Well, I do just want to touch on a couple things. That even though Boston won game 5 in a blowout fashion,
right?
Even even with that, when Tatum went down, I had a very strong feeling this season was over. Even
Yeah.
after I saw Game 5, that blowout,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
because if you
We
think
just
about
didn't.
it, in the
Yeah.
position that Boston was in, Boston would have needed to win 3 in a row,
Mm-hmm.
right? Without Tatum, even though they blew him out and handled handled them in that game,
Right.
I don't think a Boston team without Tatum is going to take three in a row against a what would you call them, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, I saw like some other people make that comparison, but the four of them are really have like played
I like that
well like,
nickname. I
together.
like that.
It
It
is good.
works.
Like, the four of them, Towns, Anunoby, Brunson, Bridges in the mid range. Like, I mean, him as a Nets fan too. Like, I mean, but
Yeah.
this series, he's been going off like in the mid range. I mean, defensively creating those two game basically winner on defense, like game stoppers, if you want to call them that. But I mean, he's been playing outstanding basketball. Brunson is of course Captain Clutch. He's a killer. Anunoby's been playing very well. He's been hitting a lot of shots. And then Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, I feel like he doesn't get enough credit. Like a lot of people give him flack, but he's been showing up this series, double digit rebounding, double digit point scoring, finishing at the rim. I mean, he could shoot a three. Like all four of these guys are just balling out. And then you got a player like Josh Hart who's laying it all on the line. He had a triple double. He had his face bleeding. I believe that was game 5. Like, and then McBride like is a good like sixth option. He can come off the bench and make shots. But yeah, I guess to your point, like, I mean, yeah, like, I mean, in terms of the Knicks, Celtics, like, yeah, the Celtics handled them in game 5. I guess Jaylen Brown had a good game. Derek White had a really good game. He had 34. Everyone was kind of cooking that game. Holiday, Pritchard, Cornette had a ridiculous performance. Horford was in double figures, but I mean, it's just weird because like momentum can shift from game to game, but it was just going to be very hard for that to happen again in Madison Square Garden. And then even if it did happen, then it would have had to happen again in Boston. But I guess my feeling with that was if the Celtics were able to pull off Game 6, then they have all the momentum into Game 7, and they likely, at least probably, win the series. Not saying the Knicks couldn't win the series at that point. Still, they could have, but then all the momentum would be with Boston. The home crowd would be with Boston. Even if they have a talent deficiency, they could get themselves over the line. But Game 6 was really where it was at, and the Knicks really showed up and basically said, you guys don't have a chance if you're not going to shoot well. And that's pretty much what happened. Like Celtics were struggling from shooting. The Knicks played up to their potential, their level, and Celtics without Tatum didn't really have the horses to compete. So is it unfortunate for Boston? Like, yeah, but at the same time, like the Knicks did beat them 3 out of 4, like healthy. And that's kind of where the series was won. So I don't really see it like unfair that like the Knicks got through. I mean, yeah, you have an easy game at the end of a hard fought series last year, but at the same time, like it was a hard fought series, and it was nice for the New York crowd to kind of be able to take a breather and just take a victory lap, I guess, and outside the stadium as well. But I think the Knicks really proved that they won the series in 3 out of 4. And if Tatum was healthy, I think they still would have been able to close it out and get one more. But either way, the Knicks do move on. And I guess, what are your thoughts on like the Thunder Nuggets series too?
Honestly, I feel like the Thunder took way too long to end that series. They had
Yeah,
the Nuggets on the ropes several occasions. Even if you remember Game 1, they had like a double-digit lead with
they did. They
with
blew
less
it
than
right
two
at the
minutes left.
end. I got home from the MSG watch party, turned on that game, and I was just like, oh my god, like, there like everything was going wrong for the Thunder to kind of let the Nuggets into
But
that game, and they took advantage.
here's the thing: everything went wrong for the Thunder through that series, and they still won.
They did, yeah.
Everything went. They played probably the worst series that they could have played, and they still pulled off the 7-game victory.
That's true. That's
I don't
true.
think it's going to work again against the Timberwolves, but it also shows just how incredibly good this team is. I would
Yeah.
not be surprised if the Thunder start off hot against the Timberwolves and just take care of them quickly.
Could
But
be.
it's the same thing with the Nuggets series. The longer the series goes on, the smaller chance the Thunder have of winning.
Yeah, because again, it becomes like an error type thing. We were saying the same thing about the Toronto Maple Leafs too, but we'll get to hockey a little bit later in this episode. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the Wolves Thunder, yeah, you're right. I mean, they played like pretty like not a great series.
Great.
Still won. But I mean, like all the close games they lost. Then there was the kind of anomaly of game 2, and then again, then they lost game 3 right away, and then they won game 4. That was a close one. I mean, they could have, for the amount of talent they had, 68 wins. Like they were really pushed to the brink. They did not play great basketball. So I guess you could read that two ways. Like either that means they can absolutely blow out the Wolves and play like a lot better. They've kind of been battled through adversity, or like you said, or they could continue to play sloppy and the Wolves could take advantage of it. So which one is going to happen? I don't know, but I would assume that the Thunder, I feel like, if they can kind of build off this momentum that they have from game 7, and then another thing about this series, as we kind of shift into our analysis here for Wolves Thunder, is the rest versus rust. I mean, the Wolves have been off for like a week, right? Today's Wednesday, right? So, Tuesday, but like almost a week. And the Thunder just, so the Wolves are coming off like 5 days of rest, or 6 day. Today's going to be the 6th day. So then the Thunder just played a game 2 days ago, but they're also much more in game. They just played a game 2 days ago, and they're coming in. It's rest versus rust, but the Thunder are going to be at home to open the series. That place is, I mean, both the Pacers and the Thunder, that's a heck of a home court. Like, I feel like they do it right because, real fans get to go to those games and they all wear the shirts. And the Madison Square Garden crowd has been great. They've really gotten their fans into it. It's different. Like, the slubs are good and everything, but that home court for OKC is rocking. But I guess to my main point about rest versus rust, like, I don't know. I feel like it might benefit the Thunder more to be coming off such an emphatic game 7 where they just dumped out the Nuggets. They're going to be playing hot, and the Wolves are going to be playing a little bit cold. They're going to have to come back and feel it, and it might be too late for game 1. I feel like the Thunder are probably going to try to take control of this on their home floor. Maybe go up 2-0. We'll see, and then maybe the Wolves claw their way back in the series at home, potentially. That's where if the Thunder are really a good team, they'll steal one in many, but I feel like they're going to try to take quick control of the series, building off their momentum from game 7, just based on the way they played last game. I could be wrong, but that's just my like gut feeling on like what happens like early on in the series.
I feel like because the Thunder have been playing more basketball, there's a very good chance that they start off hot, but there's also a very good chance that causes them to fizzle out quicker. I think your ideal, like, in all honesty, I think the ideal for the Thunder is to end it in 5 or 6 games. If it goes to 7,
yeah,
I think the Timberwolves, their rest, their recuperation, their because if you have back-to-back series of 7 series games, then that's a lot of basketball over a short period of time. So, especially with how both these teams play defense too. They play that aggressive, like all on you defense.
Turnover heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're constantly having somebody swatting at you the whole time, it wears more on you. So if this goes to 7, there's a very good chance that Minnesota just simply outlasts the Thunder. But if I were like a betting man, I would probably go Thunder in 6.
Yeah. I was just starting to read through some predictions. A lot of the experts actually do have that.
Try to tell me I'm not an expert?
No, I mean like like the analysts on like CBS Sports.
I know.
Yeah, I just wanted to like get a gauge. But I think that's about right. I mean, I feel like you could pick the Wolves, but it's kind of a long stretch. Like I feel like especially given the rest versus rust, I feel like that's gonna hurt the Wolves more than it helps the Thunder in this case. But or actually, well, rather that it's probably gonna help the Thunder more than it helps the Wolves, and I think they are just too talented. And I had my doubts that they were gonna get out of the Denver series, and I mean, like it felt like they were barely making it, and that kind of worried me. But I feel like they've kind of been through that adversity now, and I think Game 7 just really does sway it for me that they came out of that with a big blowout, and they not even just the blowout, but the way that blowout happened with their, I don't want to base all my whole analysis off of one game, but like. I mean, this also did kind of happen in Game 2, but like, just the way that they were able to come out of all of that and, put their best foot forward and really like, I mean, both offensively but also defensively, just, do what they do and play their brand of basketball. I think that bodes really well for them going into the Wolves series because they're going to need it. But I think they're battle tested now. And I think, going through that, they're going to be able to play to their best potential. And I feel like that's going to sway the series. And, they're going to probably get out to a quick 2-0 lead. The Wolves are probably going to try to claw their way back in. They might get one, they might get two, but then I think the Thunder are going to weigh them down at the end because there's just too much going on in that team. It's not even the stars, but it's just, and they have like presume one potential MVP candidate in SGA, which I guess we'll find that out. Like I believe, is that today? Like when we find out who the MVP is, or like is that I don't know.
think I thought it was tomorrow.
It might be one of these days. They usually do it before a game, or before like the playoff game, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's probably gonna be this week. I'm gonna look it up right now, so we are not confused. But it says they have not announced. That's weird. They have, yeah. Usually they do that, but like they do that by now. But it says like it's probably gonna be sometime this week. But it's yeah. I mean, Shai Gilgeous and Nikola Jokic are the two top candidates. So they have someone who is either gonna be the MVP or the runners up. But besides that, they have a lot of talent, like I mentioned, and Holmgren and Jalen Williams, and I mean Dora Caruso's been playing outstanding. I mean, just the way like what he was doing on Jokic, even though he kind of got away with a lot, but it's not just offense; it's just their defense. I mean, Case and Wallace, like they might not have all the biggest stars, but their brand of basketball, their teamwork, their everything, their youth, their athleticism is just their pace is just like a lot for. And the Wolves also do play a similar style, which is going to make for an interesting battle. But I think if they're really playing up to their potential, like there's a reason why this team won 68 games, and they might not have shown it so hard in this last series, but I think it's going to show up again now that they've kind of battled through it. I think they're going to be locked, loaded, ready to go. So yeah, I do agree. I guess to summarize all of that, like I think Thunder in 6 would be pretty apt. Maybe in 7, maybe because I feel like the Wolves.
I just don't know. I think the rest is going to play a factor if it goes to 7. I just don't think they're going to have enough fresh bodies.
Well, that's true. Yeah, they might need to try to wrap it in 5 or 6, but I feel like the Wolves are too talented to get like a gentleman's sweep on them. I think they'll find a way to win 2, but 3 might be tough. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to see like the Thunder closing it out on their floor, but I could definitely see that happening too. Like because it might be Game 6 might be a close, hard fought one, but they probably pull it out. And I don't see the Wolves getting to the finals as much as I'd love to see that because I like Ant-Man, I like Randall, I like DiVincenzo, even though I'm like a Nets fan. I like their game and everything, and the Wolves have always been a team like they've always been kind of fun, but now they're just like really good. And Gobert on the inside as well. Like I feel like that's another thing. The double, like he's been playing really well too, but it's just I don't know. Unfortunately, I think they hit the buzzsaw, and it's really unfortunate, especially given that the Wolves went through the Warriors, the Lakers. They beat all the real heavy, talented teams, and now they're going to lose to the young Thunder. But it is
no. See, that's where I gotta disagree there. James. I think they put the dagger in the two collapsing empires. Don't get me wrong.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, with the Warriors, it's different again because, like, with Steph, I feel like this would have been a different series. With the Lakers, that was shocking, and they proved it. Like, there's no way you could say, oh, like they got lucky. No, they didn't. They definitely won their way towards the finals. But now I think they're playing a better team. So.
Even if the Warriors had Steph, I still think
they lose that series. I think they would have won. I mean, I think the Wolves would have won in like 7, but it would have been like a very hard fought 6 or 7, very hard fought series. But I still think they probably would have had the advantage. But again, it's like this, it's the star power versus like, but I feel like the Thunder play such a good brand of basketball, like team basketball, and it just like really works for them.
Name me one single team in this finals that it's nothing but star power. You can't, because these finals are all like these team-based, pass the ball,
Exactly.
like
that's what works though.
There's a reason why you call the Knicks the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because there's four. There's not one. There's four.
Yeah.
With the Pacers, their efficiency in passing, getting up the court, it's
beautiful.
Incredible.
It's absolutely beautiful.
And the other two, their marquee is team defense.
Yeah, the Wolves and the Thunder. You're right, and sometimes that is what works. So, but I feel like based on what I saw in Game 7, I mean, that really is Thunder basketball. That's what really makes like a difference. Like, because it's one thing to do it on the offensive end of the floor, but to do it on the defensive end, create turnovers and push the pace and score in transition like that, like you're gonna run teams out of the gym. Like, so
yeah.
Now they're probably not gonna run the Wolves out of the gym like in that kind of fashion. I would not think
their defense is too good to just run them out of the gym.
Yeah, but like I think they're just gonna have enough explosion to get by and enough team basketball, because it's kind of like a clash between similar teams, but I think the Thunder are probably better in that department, so that's kind of what pushes them over the top in my opinion.
Absolutely.
All right. Cool. So that's the Western Conference Finals. NBA. We'll do hockey soon, but the Pacers and the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, a rematch of last year's Eastern Conference semifinals, where the Pacers won in 7, a hard-fought series, but a lot of the Knicks were a little bit injured. Brunson, OG Anunoby, I don't believe Bridges was even like part of the team yet, or was he? Like I don't know, but I don't think so. Towns either. So like a very different Knicks team coming in. Pacers are more or less the same, but some maybe a little bit different. But I mean,
a little bit older, a little bit more experienced,
a little bit older, a little more experienced, same lineup. But I feel like both of these teams are even better than they were last year, which is probably why they're meeting in this round instead of the last one. But the Knicks have really found. I mean, last season was kind of like a fun one. They hit, it came crashing down. Obviously, injuries played a role, but this season, like I said,
whose hand?
The 4 Ninja Turtles are doing well. The whole team really is, but the Pacers, like, I mean, they're like also like playing extremely well. Like, just the way they dispatched the Cavs. So I feel like we're really seeing the two top teams here in the Eastern Conference squaring off, and it kind of reignites a historical rivalry. Obviously, these teams played in the 90s with Reggie Miller. Then again, they played last year. So the Knicks want to settle the scores, and the Pacers really want to, I guess, prove that they're still better. And they might be. Like, I don't know. But what do you, like, expect for this series? Like, this is going to be a really good one.
The average intelligence man says, let's go Knicks. But the wise man says Sirs in 6.
Hey, I like that. That's a good little catchphrase. All right. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That's interesting. The average man says, "Let's go Knicks." The wise man says, "Sirs in 6." Okay, I like that. I'm still used to like Knicks and 6 from the whole Celtics series. Like that one just like started reverberating in my head, and then I was just trolling Boston fans at that point. I was just like every time I saw something about the Knicks, I was just like Knicks and 6, and they're gonna win, and you don't have enough, and it was a good time. But now like things are shifting a little bit. So yeah, I mean, good riddance to the Boston Celtics. I think.
Oh yeah,
fans around the NBA could say that. Knicks, Nets, Philly, Indy, like everywhere else, like it's just
everywhere in the East. At least.
Everywhere, every team in the East doesn't, like, literally. I saw a map, like the Heat, the Wizards, the Hawks. They probably the Magic now, the Cavs, the Bucks, the Pacers, the Knicks, and Nets. Like you name it, the Raptors, like the Lakers, the Warriors, like you name it, man. Like everyone is just tired of them.
It was so satisfying to see if Dave Portnoy eat it.
I know.
It was so satisfying.
He was so annoying. He's just like Celtics in 7. Oh my god, hilarious. He was just so overconfident.
God.
Like the Boston and analysts were so overconfident about that whole series. They're just like, oh, the Celtics are down 2-0, but or down now they're down 2-1, but everybody knows that the Knicks are done for the rest of the series. And to give them credit, like I could see where that line of thinking was coming from at that time. But like it fell through for them in like the worst
No.
way. But it's just like overconfidence to just say the series is over when you guys blew 20-point leads in your own building in the worst horrific fashion, and the series is just over. Like okay, like so
That's why,
yeah.
that's why you have to give the other team some respect.
I know there's just
Like,
no respect for them after they did that twice to you. I mean, that's on you for blowing those types of leads. You know what I mean? It's just
oh, it was so
ridiculous.
satisfying to watch the Knicks
Oh
play.
my God, you have no idea. No, I think it was like NBA was just like a lot of fans around the league were just like popping champagne to that. So, in
God,
any case,
I
yeah,
would have.
good riddance. Unfortunate what happened to Jason Tatum, obviously, and
No, I mean you'd never cheer for somebody to get hurt.
yeah, of
You
course not.
never.
That's
But
what I
like,
was saying. But like, yeah.
you do cheer to watch some cocky mouthpieces get punched in the mouth.
I know. I'm so happy to see the Boston fans and not even the radio analyst, all the people who are like, "Oh, the Celtics still got it, and don't even worry." Like, well, I'm just happy to see them go down. Obviously, never wish injuries on anyone. And especially in the fashion that happened. And I would have wanted the Knicks to beat them healthy. To really quiet
Oh
any
yeah, that
and
would have
also
been more
just the way,
satisfying.
yeah, and plus the way Tatum and Brunson were going back and forth at it, like I would have wanted to see that some more too. And obviously all respect to Jason Tatum, but oh man, like dude, it was definitely a satisfying one. And from a Nets fan perspective, like it's like maybe their dynasty doesn't continue anymore. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. Like that trade was horrific. But it felt like the Nets kind of went into their building, ended it, basically beat them with Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and it felt like that was avenged. But then the next season, the Celtics come back and bitterly sweep them 4-0, just as they did the Pacers. So then it was kind of like the rivalry was back on, and then they ended up winning the championship like the year later or something like that anyway, or 2 years later, I don't know. But in any case, like now it's like they went down to the hands of the Knicks. Yeah, their whole roster, like they have to figure out what they're going to do now because Jason Tatum might not play for a lot of next season. So who knows what's going on. It's crazy how life could change so quickly in the NBA, because if he was healthy, they might have been talking about another championship, and now like it seems like everything's just like crumbling apart. So but I guess going back to this series in terms of the Pacers and the Knicks, yeah. So your original point was the Pacers winning in 6. I mean, in a funny quote, or man, like I wanna agree, but I just don't. I don't know. Like I have to the analysis part of this, like. Who's playing better basketball right now? The Knicks are like kind of inconsistent, which is kind of like
The
what
Pacers.
worries me a little bit. And the Pacers are like very consistent. The Knicks are kind of up and down, but like when they're going, like there's probably not a team in the league that can beat them, at least in the East. But like they don't, it doesn't really always work out that way. Even in the 2 games that they won 1 and 2, there were 20-point comebacks. Basically everything went wrong for the Celtics. Their shooting was horrific, and the Knicks pulled it together in the fourth twice, which is, it's weird how that happened twice. Like maybe that happened once, but the way that it happened in the same fashion with the same player getting the stop, it felt like the same movie was happening twice. As I think even Coach Tibbs said that, but it's just
Yeah.
kind of bizarre, like how that happened in pretty much exact same. I was literally like watching the game, laughing, seeing Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown miss wide open 3-pointers. I was just like, this is just like, and it's not like the Knicks were shooting great either until the fourth quarter, but like once that started happening, but then game 3 happened, the Knicks were done. Like I feel like that just cannot happen against the Pacers, because if that happens, if
No.
if
If
games
you're
1 and 2 even happen against Indy, like those Pacers are not going to give up at 20. There's no way. I mean, the way they move the ball, even if they don't, have an open shot, they'll create open shots. They're not going to like just take bad 3-pointers like the Celtics were taking. So that's what worries me. I feel like the Pacers are going to come into the series on a little bit more rest. Not that the Knicks haven't had rest. Now they finished on Friday, but I feel like they're going to come into the Garden, play their brand of basketball. The Knicks are going to have to play their best every game to win the series. Now, if they do, I think they are the better team. However, I don't trust that they will be able to do that every time. and that's why like I think I'd have to agree with you. I think the Pacers like are probably going to win in 6, maybe 7, but we'll see. But that's kind of my analysis of the series.
If the Knicks shooting goes cold like it did in some instances against
Hmm.
against the
The Bucks,
Celtics,
yeah, yeah,
they're sunk. If
they
the
are.
shooting goes cold, they're sunk.
Hmm.
Because the Pacers, they're not that team that's gonna like flashy get like all these points in like a quick minute, but they are gonna score consistently, and they're not gonna beat you with flash. They're gonna beat you with consistency. If the Knicks can't match that
Yeah.
consistency, which I I don't think they're gonna be able to do, that's they're sunk. I think they're going to steal some games. I think they're probably going to win one at the Garden, win one in Indy. But other than that, I don't think the Knicks have the consistency to pull it off. They could prove me wrong. They could, but even in their series before the Celtics series, they had instances where they went cold for a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's a good point. I mean, that's true. In the Boston series, they had multiple games where they went cold. I guess you could argue 1 and 2, but then even later in the series, they just had their off. They had a couple off nights, so I mean that could be 4 in the same series. Even the Detroit series was a little bit up and down. I mean, there was moments of that series where it really felt like the Pistons were going to be able to push them till 7, and they were very like kind of inferior team too in some ways, but they
Yeah,
also played gritty basketball, and that was just an ugly series on both sides to watch. But I mean, yeah, but I mean the Knicks were able to pull through against kind of a less talented team in a way, although up and coming in Detroit. But against Boston, I mean it was just like the inconsistencies were kind of not great. I mean they again coming back and winning the first 2, exhilarating and everything, and but that's just not going to fly against the Pacers, and then especially the way they played in Game 3 and then Game 5. I mean, it was just, I mean, without Jason Tatum, like to lose by 25, like these swings can just not be happening because the Pacers and the Cavs. I mean, the Pacers, they might have had one game where maybe they weren't playing too well, but then again, Donovan Mitchell also had 40 points in pretty much most of these games, and every team probably has one like kind of off game maybe, but like the Knicks probably had like 4 in the same series that they won, and 2 of them they were able to save themselves, but they're not going to be able to save themselves against the Pacers. So like that's they're gonna have to play like they did in Game 6, and I mean that's really the only one like I mean that I could even like pull off right or Game 4 as well. I mean even though that was a close win, like they really won at it Game 4. Because again, Tatum was going off. So let's say like Halliburton goes off like that, right? But they withstood that. But they're gonna have to play like they did in Game 4 and 6 to really win the series. Now, can they? Like, yeah, but can they do it for 6, 7 games? Like, I don't think so. But the Pacers, it just almost looks like more effortless, like the way when they do it. Like, it looks like that is something that they could sustain. So that's why I give the Pacers the advantage. Now, I guess that being said, I mean the Garden crowd is going to be hectic and intense, and maybe that has some sort of sway on the first couple of games. So maybe the Knicks get off to a good start, and the Pacers have to claw back into this. But maybe it ends up like it did last year, where the Pacers won in 7. But I don't know. I mean, but I feel like it's just the Knicks are just not as consistent, and I think the Pacers are going to be able to steal a game at the Garden, win their home games, and win the series.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much does sum it up. But I'm really looking forward to this basketball slate. Wolves Thunder and then Pacers Knicks. So yeah, I mean, 2 really good series. 4 young talented teams, and like you said, team basketball is at the forefront of all of this. So going to be really exciting for like pure basketball fans. If you're not really looking for, I mean, if you're looking for the big brands, you're not going to find. I guess the Knicks are a big brand, but they're
Not
even.
either.
Yeah, well,
They
yeah. I
haven't
mean,
won since '71.
that's true, but I mean, like market wise, they are. But like in terms of like, yeah, I guess like in terms of the typical big brands, like you're not gonna find that, but you're gonna find young, hungry teams. You're gonna find good basketball. You're gonna find, just really good shot creation, good defense, things like that. And I feel like that's what really good basketball is all about. So it's going to be refreshing to see these four teams, but there's also going to be some really competitive games. T-Wolves Thunder is going to be one heck of a series, and Pacers Knicks is also going to be one heck of a series. Probably the first one's probably going to be more defensive, second one a little bit more offensive, but either way, looking forward to that. So yeah, I think we both agree it's probably going to be Thunder Pacers, which that's going to be like a really small market finals if that happens. Like, executives are probably going to like freak out a little bit about that, but I feel like America's finals is probably our preferred finals is probably going to be Knicks versus Wolves because there's some good storylines. New York's in it.
Yeah.
People love Minnesota. I mean, I probably prefer that one, but I feel like analysis wise,
America never gets what they want. So.
Nope. I mean, we saw like what happened with Chiefs Eagles, and yeah, I mean, and then
that's nobody wanted that.
Two
wanted
of America's least favorite teams. And it wasn't even a good game, and I feel like that's
it was horrible.
That's probably the worst part because as much as people might hate the Eagles or the Chiefs or both, at least like I was like, well, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a rematch of the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and both of these teams are probably like as good, if not better. And then the Chiefs got washed off the field, and and for me, I was even more frustrated being a Giants fan, of course. But it was just oh my goodness, just a nightmare. But in this case,
the national championship game sucked.
Yeah, well, kind of. I mean, I guess Notre Dame made a late push, but like it was kind of a blowout. But it's just unfortunate. Well, yeah, and then we had like Georgia TCU a few years ago. Like that was rough. But anyway, I mean, I don't feel like the quality of basketball will be bad in any four of these outcomes, even if it's like Wolves, Pacers, or Knicks, Thunder. Like whatever you're getting, you're gonna get good. It's just probably not. Yeah. It's not ideal for like the big brands, but. Like analysis wise, we're probably looking at Thunder Pacers, but I feel like the matchup America really wants is Wolves Knicks, and I would agree with that sentiment too. I really would like to see Wolves Knicks. I feel like that would be pretty fun, especially with like Randall going against Cat and DiVincenzo and Randall going against Cat would be a really good storyline, and New York would be going absolutely ballistic. So outside the Garden, so I mean that would be really fun, even if you're not a Knicks fan. But in any case, we'll see what does happen. I'm excited for a good week of basketball. Now to shift over to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Wow, I mean, yeah. So I guess just to debrief real quickly. Where do we even start? Well,
these finals are boring.
Yeah, it feels
like the same one as last year.
Basically the same one as last year. There's one different team. It's the Hurricanes instead of the Rangers, which I guess for me is kind of a good thing. I don't know. But the Panthers are in there again. Hopefully we get a repeat of what happened last time. But I feel like we probably won't. But I guess to summarize the previous round, so the Jets getting the win over the Stars getting the win over the Jets, excuse me. They kind of had the upper hand. Stars with the advantage over the Jets 3-1. Then the Jets blanked them in Winnipeg 4-0, so bring some momentum. Game 6, a hard-fought one, 2-1 win for Dallas in overtime. And then the Knights obviously falling to Edmonton in 5 games, a gentleman's sweep, which was kind of a little bit unpredicted. That sets up the rematch here in the Western Conference Finals. In the East, Hurricanes absolutely demolishing the Washington Capitals. Like Capitals won 1 game in the series, and even just games 4 and 5 were blowout. 5-2 Hurricanes. 3-1 Hurricanes in the finale, and a quiet series for Ovechkin, who had a big series in the previous series. I mean, the Kings are just playing really good hockey. And then finally in the next one, or in the last one, this was a good series. Maple Leafs versus Panthers. So after the Leafs had a 2-0 lead, Panthers, they had the 2-goal lead in game 3. Panthers come back, beat them, and won game 4 as well. Game 5, Panthers absolutely humiliated the Leafs on home ice, 6-1.
God.
But it doesn't stop there because now people think the series is over, but the Leafs go down to Florida, completely switch the narrative a little bit, take control of Game 6, which I didn't think was going to happen. Put 2 behind Bobrovsky and post a shutout. So we're like, okay, they're going back to Toronto for Game 7. Let's see what happens, right? It's kind of like, getting the Leafs fans excited, like we got this. But sure enough, they don't got this. The Panthers do the same thing they did in Game 5, the same exact score. They won 6-1 against Toronto, and the fans are just like, "Oh my god, like not again!" But indeed, it did happen again. And
the Leafs did not. Neither team won a single game at home, right?
No, well, no, the Leafs won the first 2 at. No, actually, well, yeah, no, the Leafs won the first 2 at home. The Panthers won the second 2 at home.
Oh, I flipped them. My bad.
Yeah, and
I
then the next 3 were all road wins. So
gotcha. No, I flipped them. I thought it was Panthers were at home. And then imagine
yeah, that's happened before, like where the road team wins every game. Like I think like with the Clippers series, one of them a few years ago against, I think it was Denver or someone else, but like every time the road team was winning, it was a bizarre series. But how funny is it that the Panthers won Game 5 and Game 7 with the exact same score, 6-1? Like
in Toronto.
In Toronto, in front of the Leafs fans. I mean, they put in Game 5 it was 3. I mean, well, the Panthers the Leafs didn't even get on the board till late. And this one it was 3-0. The goals happened in quick succession. Just off of rebounds, off of whatever, putting pucks in the net. Then Toronto does score 1. But then the Panthers put 3 more on them, and it's just like what are we even doing? The Leafs were just like lazy. They're just like not getting the pucks. They're just like not. I mean, it's just not good. They're just allowing second chances. Like I don't understand how you go from 6-1 to 2-0 and then back to 6-1. Like this, it just doesn't even make any sense to me. Like.
Yeah, I had a friend that saw a game a year back in Toronto, and he had nothing but awesome things to say about their fans. They're loud, they're passionate, they're in the game, they move And honestly, if I was a Toronto fan and I saw that performance in Game 7 of the quarterfinals, oh my god, there would have been a riot outside the stadium.
Yeah, because I saw some. I think like in Game. I think it was Game 7. I don't know. One of them. I think a Leafs fan did like throw his jersey onto the ice or something. Did you see that? I think that was a singular one. Yeah, and they were booing. It's just really disappointing the effort that they gave in front of. I mean, you're in a series here, and it's not even just how that they lost. It's how it's how they lost. It's not like they lost in overtime, hard-fought games. Like they were literally not getting to the puck, allowing Florida to dominate time in the offensive zone, put shots on the goal. Continue to put shots on the goal and watch them go in, and just nothing. Like, and then it's just like, how do you do that? Like, how do you? And then Will got pulled out in Game 5, I think, for Matt Murray. And then but then it's like weird because they turned it in Game 6, like they turned it around and they completely flipped everything. I mean, Will had a shutout. They were the ones who scored 2 goals, and it was like, okay, we're coming back. Game 5 was really horrible, but we got the taste out of our mouth. We won a game in their arena, not easy to do. But then in Game 7, it was like, do you think the pressure of the moment is getting to the Leafs? Do you think it's the history?
I have a feeling that the Leafs are one of those teams where when a game starts going poorly, they completely implode. I don't know if it's pressure. I think it's a game by game basis because if you really look at the games that they lost, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even talking from from an offensive point of view. I just think that Florida has a really good defense. But I think from a defensive point of view, when things start going wrong, they completely implode. And let me show you a couple examples. The first game, Florida won in overtime, but they put up 5 goals. They were lucky that their offense was able to keep pace. And then the last 2 games that Florida won, they all those goals came in rapid succession of each other. Like it was 3, and then the Leafs held them off a little bit, and then 3 again. I have a feeling that they get into these ruts where they just can't defend anything, and then they after enduring they they begin to put it back together again, but they seem to have like these like spurts of like 10 minutes where they can't they can't stop a nosebleed.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely. Yeah, it's just weird, like the swings in the series. Just really weird because yeah, I mean it seems like when things are going well, like the 4-5, 5-4-3, 4-3 wins were close, gritty, and but then they had a lead and then they blew it, and then it just seemed like when Florida started putting up goals, like there was no answer, and then especially in game 5 and 7, like it's just like when the goals started coming, it was just like it's just a flood of goals, like it was one after the other, and then in game 6 there was no goal, so eventually the Leafs were able to get through and score. But yeah, it's like whenever something goes wrong, it goes like really, really wrong. And I think that's right. When it's going right, then they're able to play better. They're able to they're able to at least compete in the game. They're sometimes able to win. Although in game 3, but again, like when the goals started coming for Florida, that was pretty much it. So so and yeah, it's just like a momentum shifter, and it's just the Leafs are like again they have like a lot of talent on their team, but it's just like Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews. I mean, they're probably one of the most talented teams, like in terms of their big four, like in the league. And like, it just isn't working for them. And obviously, Anthony Stolarz being out is probably not helping, but still, I mean, they're goal scorers and their market and being from Canada, having like that pipeline with all the local talent, it's just not working. And
Well,
again, Florida's a
all the
gritty team.
American teams do have access to that Canadian
Yeah, of
talent too.
course.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not like they get like priority access to those
Yeah,
players, but
but it's
that's
not
true.
like yeah.
Yeah, it's not like I guess it's more yeah, that's not really true at all. But it's more of just like a market thing, and and it's also just but the talent they do have though, like they have some of the best, like in terms of Austin Matthews was I think #1 pick. I mean they have John Tavares who like was a long time Islander, Mitch Marner. They have like Oliver Ekman Larson. They have like a Max Domi. I mean they have like a lot of good players on their team, and like that it should get them over the hump, like kind of the way Edmonton finally did, but it just hasn't really worked. And they
Did
also,
Edmonton really make it over the hump though? They didn't win.
well, they didn't win the cup yet, but at least they got there. I mean, Toronto can't get out of the second round, like so it's just and plus like what their history is, just it doesn't
You know
make it
what?
any easier.
They're slowly getting there. Remember how long it took them to get out of the first round?
True, yeah, yeah, that's right. Baby steps. And honestly, this was the best series that they've had in a long time. I mean, at least like they didn't lose in 6, and at least they pushed it to game 7. And now it didn't really do well in either game 5 or game 7, but it feels like they are kind of making progress. And to give Florida some credit, I mean, they're a very good hockey team. They just won the cup last year. They have pretty much almost everybody back from last year, and they added um who'd they add? Oh, name is like slipping, but Brand Marchand from the
Yeah,
Bruins, and he's been
Marchand.
playing. He's had a sensational series. I mean, in this series, in this last game, I mean, Seth Jones scored a goal. Defenseman Gadjevich scored a goal. Another defenseman Marchand's had a really good series. He's been a hero multiple times. Again against Toronto because he, former Bruin there, and then Luster-Reinen scored a goal. I mean, they have, of course, he got I mean, Makachuk, who's been a little bit more quiet. I mean, for Hagee, Reinhart had a goal, Lundell had a goal. I mean, they still have all this talent. And then, Sir Bobrovsky, who's like, oftentimes like a brick wall in the net. I mean, defensemen, they have like, like so many different guys. I mean, you have Nico Mikkola, Ekblad, Forsling. Like, they have like pretty much this whole lineup back. And you're adding a piece in, Barkov, of course. And then, but adding Brad Marchand to this kind of lineup where, he's already had his moments in the series. I think he had the game winner in game 2 or one of the games, or maybe game 3. But I mean, just yeah, I mean, it's just adding that kind of caliber player to a team where they already have so many goal scorers, such great defense, a really solid goaltender as well. Like it's just, it really is like a lot, and I guess they're going into the series now again, similarly about like kind of what I was saying about the NBA playoffs, kind of like the Thunder. They're going in battle tested, but this Hurricanes team, they're coming off rest. I mean, they also have everybody healthy as well. They have I mean, Shmeshnikov's been playing extremely well. I mean, their whole team's been playing. I mean, very well. I mean, Stahl, Jarvis. I mean, Martin, Brett Burns on defense. Aho, I mean, their whole team's clicking. Frederick Anderson's been a really good goaltender. It feels like they haven't even really faced that much adversity. I mean, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it
Is
just
that you or me?
I don't know. I don't know if you just cut out for a second. It might have been you, but it seems like Carolina just hasn't even faced a lot of adversity the entire playoffs so far. I mean, the Devils obviously put up as good as a fight as they probably could have with all their injuries. They won a gritty overtime game that I was lucky to be there for that one. Another double overtime game where Markstrom was really standing on his head, but this Capitals team, I mean, I really thought they had more in them, and they didn't. It almost felt like even easier than the Devils series somehow. But that Carolina just kind of coasted through that, coming off some rest. They're playing really good hockey. Another team they're very aggressive. Defensively, and when they start shooting, they just blitz, they just put pucks on net time and time again. They'll stay in the offensive zone until the other team wears down. And I don't know, you know what I mean? I feel like Florida, again, it's it goes back to the inconsistency, them too. Sometimes they play really well, sometimes they've struggled a little bit. I mean, the Hurricanes are playing well almost every game. It's kind of almost like the Pacers Knicks, in the NHL. Sometimes, yeah, if everyone's healthy, everyone's playing their best. The Panthers are probably the better team, but Carolina is probably the more consistent team, while also being a very good team in their own right. So, is this a year that Carolina breaks through to the Stanley Cup final? They've been knocking on the door, but they've been denied pretty much every time by by a better team. But they've been one of those teams who have struggled to get out second round or sometimes the Eastern Conference Finals. But this year, I feel like they're the favorite, or they should be the favorite in this series. They have home ice advantage against Florida, with Game 1 being today. I would take the Canes to break through in 6, maybe 7. But what do you think?
I would take the Canes in 6 as well.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Florida has enough in the tank left to compete with that. I mean, they showed severe signs of struggle against a not great Toronto team. I will say that as well. I think I'm also one of those people. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I believe that eventually a team just becomes due. They become due to break through. I think Carolina breaks through this year.
Yeah, it does seem like they're due, because every year they falter. They lost to the Panthers in 4, the Rangers in 6. I think another year they also lost to the Rangers in 6, if I'm not mistaken. So,
and then
right? Or
they have 2 losses to the Panthers, 2 losses to the Rangers in recent memory.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's the same team twice.
Yeah,
2 teams twice actually, but this time another clash against the Panthers. But yeah, I mean, looking at this, yeah, well, yeah, it's a rematch of the 2023 conference finals with Carolina, Florida winning in a sweep, but 2 of those games were overtime games too. So, yeah, it does kind of feel like Panthers, or the Canes, are due. I mean, the Panthers are coming off the cup, but Carolina has kind of cruised through. They're playing at such a high level. The Panthers showed a lot of struggle against the Leafs team, who's also been very inconsistent, very not great. And they still needed 7. Carolina's coming off of a lot more rest, I feel like, and the home ice advantage. I think that's going to give the Canes a good start to this one. Actually, well, the Panthers are the favorite team, but it's kind of close-ish, I guess. Panthers are minus 125, Canes are plus 105, and Stanley Cup odds plus 250 for Florida, plus 300 for Carolina. But it's probably because the Panthers are more experienced. They probably do have more high-end talent, I would say, or a more complete team. But again, they're just not playing as consistently as the Canes. It's probably how the Knicks are, I would think, the favorites too. But I would probably go with the Pacers. It's we're kind of seeing the same thing in hockey. Like it's kind of like basically a very similar series here, but
Yeah.
yeah. But I'm feeling Carolina as much as I hate to say. I would love to see Florida win, but I think this has a chance of going like 6 or 7 games. It should be a good competitive series the entire way. But I think the Hurricanes are playing better. With the struggles the way the Panthers have had in the second round versus the Hurricanes not really struggling with a very good Capitals team that was I think second in the entire NHL. Ovechkin coming off a historic season and just the way that they shut them down, I think that gives Carolina the advantage. But I mean, they're gonna have to take care of home ice. If they can go up 2-0 and send it to Florida, and then maybe even steal a game in Florida, then I think they win. But I think they have to get off to a good start. If they do, then I think it's their series to lose. And I do think they're due because it's kind of like if not now, then when? I feel like is kind of the thing. So I feel like they're about to hit it. So they've lost 12 straight games in the conference finals round, apparently, that's kind of interesting. So
Did you want to pivot
yeah.
over to the West though?
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we both made our prediction. Hurricanes, probably
Yeah.
in 6, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's time for them to break out of that streak. I think they have the team to do it this year, and yeah, I think I see enough vulnerability in Florida. So, I guess shifting now over to the Western Conference Series, Oilers, Stars. Yeah, again, another rematch of last year's Western Conference Finals where the Oilers won. Oilers won in 6 last year, right? Okay, so what do you again? Like it's just like another couple hard fought. Well, the Dallas fought off Winnipeg. Maybe not so hard fought, but I mean they kind of had the control. The Oilers really had complete control of the Vegas series from beginning to end. I mean, even the Knights one was later. Yeah, very surprising because we were saying Vegas is the deeper team. Edmonton probably has higher end talent, but the first line obviously with McDavid, Draisaitl, and everything going on like that. But yeah, both teams again solid goaltenders and whatnot. It's Ottinger versus Skinner, right? Again, is the net matchup, I believe. So yeah, so both of those pretty solid. I don't know. I mean, we have the potential for like a Stanley Cup Finals rematch, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like Dallas is just playing really good hockey.
I feel like Dallas got to take it. Oilers win last year. Dallas wins this year.
Yeah, I think they get their revenge. I feel like I don't know. Even though the Oilers won in 5 against Vegas, the Stars, they're just playing really good, really good hockey. Now the Jets also won a few games, but which were both 4-0 wins. But the games that the Dallas Stars won were just they were very convincing to me. Again, a lot of shots, a lot of goals. Hellebuck was questionable, pretty much a lot of the series that didn't help. But I feel I think Dallas does get their revenge, just like a gut feeling. I don't particularly know why, but I feel like somehow they were more convincing in their series. I don't know, not more convincing, but they were just about as convincing. And I feel again, their brand of hockey is probably gonna win out this year against Edmonton. I don't know.
Yeah,
feeling it's again the individual star power versus the team depth and everything. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with I don't know, Dallas in 6 sounds about right, especially with them having the home ice advantage, just like Carolina does.
I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take Dallas in 6.
All right, cool, awesome. Yeah, so I guess feels like we spent a lot more time on the other series, but it feels kind of
Well,
similar.
I'll be honest with you. I am a lot more informed on Carolina and Florida than I am on.
That's true. I don't really have
Dallas.
a lot to say. Yeah.
I do. I personally have a dislike for Edmonton's playing style because their defense. Not only is it not good, but it's bad. They should not be winning if your defense is as bad as it is, but they do because they have these star players. They are literally an NBA team in the NHL.
Yeah, they have that high flying offense, the fancy goal scoring and the kind of the 2-on-1 stuff, all that.
I think really that Dallas is a more complete team, and they should take this series. They have good scoring. They have a good goalie. They have decent defense. But there also is the chance that the two powers on Edmonton just overpower everybody like they did last year.
Could
So
be.
it's like it's literally
Yeah.
like it's like you have Tom Brady and you have Lawrence Taylor on the same team that are just carrying their respective units, and then
Hmm.
behind them you have I don't know Nathan Peterman.
Yeah. I mean, I guess
Like,
yeah, that's true. I mean, to be fair, I mean, their goalie's been good too, like kind of, but like I mean, not
no, like
entirely.
if you look at like other than the last series, no, he has not.
Yeah, I mean, in this one he kind of has, I guess, but before that he hasn't really. I mean, the Edmonton Kings series was like kind of all over the
He is
place.
one of the worst save percentages in the NHL. He is not a good goalie.
Yeah, I guess that's true. He kind of tightened it up a little bit towards the end, but
No, he did. Don't get me wrong, but in terms of how he's played all season,
previously,
this is nonsense. If you're asking me,
yeah. I mean, it really is like Draisaitl, and
McDavid,
McDavid.
yeah,
Yeah, that's basically almost like where most of their goals are coming from. And Dallas is very much complete in terms of their team, but that's kind of what we thought about the Knights too. But I feel like Dallas is just they're that much better this year. But you're right. Could like is Vegas or not? Is Edmonton's star power going to overpower them? I don't know. I mean, maybe, but I feel like it's gonna be a harder sell than the last one. I mean, the Stars are playing, they're playing well, but is it gonna be enough? I mean, I don't know. I mean, but I think it depends on obviously how Ottinger plays, but I mean, Rantanen's been hot lately. Obviously, after the trade, I mean, being the Avs, he's had a good run.
right.
Heiskanen, like they have Sagan, like all of their different guys. So Dadanov. I mean, they have like a few different options, but I mean, I feel like Rantanen's gonna be like a big piece in that. Maybe Heiskin and some of these other guys, Tyler Sagan, obviously, captain there, but can they like yeah, I mean they have a lot of veterans. They have like guys like Jamie Benn. Can they put this all together? I think Rantanen's probably going to be one of the big keys to the series. Like, can he really have another big series here? Because someone's going to have to like really show up for Dallas in a big way, and I feel like it should probably be him if I had to pick a name
Yeah, I
to
would say
circle.
so.
Can Rantanen have a big series, and then can Ottinger have a big series too? Because he's going to need to obviously stop a lot of shots to really keep them in the game. So that's what I'm looking out for, but. I would like to, yeah. Similarly, yeah. I mean, I probably would like to see the Stars to win versus playing style wise. Will it happen? I don't know, but I think they are also like kind of a better team than they were last year, and they're a pretty good team last year. I think they get over the hump. So then that would set up a Canes Stars Stanley Cup final, which
It's a
would
good one
be
to me.
which would be interesting because it would be two teams that haven't been in a while, I guess. Or well, the Stars were a few years ago. They didn't win. There's potential of like a Panthers-Oilers rematch, but in this one we get kind of more of a battle of the South, I guess. Carolina, Texas, which would be kind of
Yeah,
an interesting one for the NHL. But at the same time, like
helps
obviously
the
as
NHL, helps them grow in those markets.
exactly. You want to see like some Southern hockey. Florida also like coming off the cup, they're about as far south as you can get too. So I mean, but
Right.
to establish some new hockey markets, I feel like that would be good. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously as a Devils fan, I'm going to be rooting for the Panthers. It seems like they've done like the work I've wanted them to do. Like they knocked out the Canes, they've knocked out the Rangers. So if they win again, like I'll probably be rooting for them to go all the way. But at the same
Absolutely.
time, yeah, I mean, at the same time
Can,
though, if the other thing happens, then like it is what it is. But I feel like we're gonna see some good playoff series for sure.
can I just add a personal anecdote as an Islanders fan? I'm
Yeah, go
so
for
happy Toronto lost.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
so happy. Um,
Oh,
I'm
true.
sure you know John Tavares, right?
Yep. Hmm.
John Tavares used to be an Islander, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fan favorite. They loved him,
Yeah.
right? When he was supposed to re-sign his contract, he goes out several times and says, "I'm resigning. I'm doing it. I'm coming back. Whatever." Then the next day, he signs with Toronto,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Traitor. No, and during his entire time with Toronto, because his contract comes to an end this year, he did not make one Eastern Conference final. In the time that the Islanders have, in like the time that he's been with Toronto, the Islanders have made 2 Eastern Conference finals. So,
Right.
respectfully, I'm sitting pretty.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean that pretty much sums up our NHL talk. I guess just to wrap up this episode, we could just talk about some baseball real quick. But Subway Series, Yankees taking over the Mets 2-1. A big series for just NBA or not NBA MLB fans in this city or in New York and then I guess northern Jersey. Anyone who really follows baseball in northern New Jersey, Connecticut, New York City, of course, the whole area. But yeah, I mean, I've been hearing a lot of interesting things about Juan Soto and his decision to go from the Yankees to the Mets. And people are saying his family put him up to that and he really wanted to be a Yankee. I don't know if that's really true. He seemed to be pretty firm in his decision and whatnot. But it seems like, day one, he was kind of going through the motions. He was tipping his cap. And by day 3, he just was a little overwhelmed. He was actually smiling, talking to some of the Yankees players. Maybe it was getting to him a little bit with the whole crowd thing. But it's going to be a long contract for Juan Soto. So hopefully he doesn't regret that decision to join the Mets. But
no, hopefully he does.
Yeah, hopefully he does.
We're Yankees fans here. Come
exactly.
on.
That is fair. Yeah, but I'm really happy to see the Yankees take the 3-game set against the rivals. Game 1 was a 6-2 win on the day of the Knicks Celtics game, so wasn't really watching too much, but a comfortable one there. And then game 2, I'm not sure how much of all of this you watched, but yeah, in game 2 the Mets took the middle one 3-2, a little bit of a close one. Game 3 was the rubber match, and the Yankees kind of had a lot of their scoring in that one inning, particularly the grand slam by Bellinger, which went over the short porch at right field just a little bit, but enough to get over the wall and put 4 runs on the board. I believe they struck Judge out right before that, but just a big emphatic series win for the Yanks. Again, first place in the AL East still, which isn't really the best division. But so, a good chance they run away with that one later on in the year. It's still very early. The Mets are not first place now because the Phillies have overtaken them by, I believe, half a game after their, the poop series, which they took over the Pirates, and then now they have the Rockies, so that's probably going to be a few more wins for them. But in any case, yeah, the Yankees proving they run New York, which I think they played that in the clubhouse. Exactly. Yeah, go Yanks. Now I'm really happy to see it because Mets fans are starting to act like they're Big Brother and that this is our World Series.
No.
I don't want to hear that.
You are not Big Brother.
Just because they got Juan Soto who's struggling
on.
to start the season, does not mean they're like, oh well, the Yankees are gonna act like this is their World Series, and I'm like, we were literally in the World Series last year. This isn't.
You would have to win 25 more titles to start acting like Big Brother.
Exactly, they're acting like they're Mets fans are pissed. They're just going after Yankees fans, and they're like, oh well, you guys just enjoy this, and we'll see you later on, or we'll see you in Queens, but so it is what it is. But I think the Yankees made a statement that at least for now they are the better team, so that's really the important part.
We run New York.
Yeah, exactly. We run New York. They're playing in the clubhouse after the game, and yeah, so the Yankees move on to a series against the Texas Rangers, who are kind of in the middle right now. They're slightly above 500. As for the Mariners are off to a good start. The Tigers are off to a terrific start. They're 31-17, first in the whole MLB, which is pretty miraculous given the way that they've been lately. And then in the NL Central, I mean, the Cubs look pretty good. The NL East is probably going to come down to the Phillies versus Mets. The Braves might make a push, and then NL West looks pretty similar to how it has been with the Dodgers and the Padres, the top 2, followed by the Giants, D-backs, and the Rockies are just like horrific. Like they're 8-39. Like I don't think I've ever seen something like that.
They did not get a win since we last spoke about this.
That's
They had
crazy.
8 wins the last time we spoke, and they
Really?
probably lost another complete
Well,
series.
well, they actually did. They did win against the D-backs. They won the series, the middle game in that series, 14-12. So they did win one, but I mean they fired their manager. I don't know, man. It's just like it's just awful. Like we saw the Cubs or the White Sox rather like really struggle last year. I think have like over 120 losses, but this is like even worse somehow. Like I don't know. And in a game where there's this much variance night to night, like to see a team like that bad is just. I mean, it looks
Yeah,
like an NBA team, like one of those like Hornets or Wizards, like all like the teams that win like 10 games a season. Like it looks like it's that bad. But anyway, I guess they'll be trying to figure it out what to do over there. But in the meantime, the Yankees run New York. The Mets I don't right now. They in a series against another one of our hated rivals, the Red Sox, lost the opener, and we'll see them in July, I guess, in Queens. But in the meantime, I think that pretty much covers everything that we wanted to talk about. NBA conference finals, Stanley Cup conference finals, and a little bit of baseball to end off the episode. But as always, this has been another episode of Sports Vibe, episode 88. I'm Arnav, here with Andrew, and
later, guys.
yeah, we will see you next time.